Turf Mill.
The 9 Years Podcast.
All right, everybody, welcome to episode 70 of the 9 Years Podcast with myself, Nick Draper, and my co-host, Stuart Deacon. Stu, how are you this week?
Not bad, mate. Not bad at all.
Counting down the days till Christmas. We're only, 3 days away?
Yeah, it's really weird with it being on a Sunday this week, isn't it? It's just thrown my my clock around the place, if that's what you should say, really. But
Start as you mean to go on.
Yeah, I don't even know what day it is, but yeah, it's Christmas somewhere. All I know is I'm on holiday for 4 days, so happy days, bring it on.
Bring it on. It is a bit strange, obviously, because Christmas Eve falling on a Saturday means there's no Saturday football, so we've got a little bit of a gap between games. Always throws me off a little bit. But of course, we continue with the podcast anyway. Hasn't thrown us off doing that, has it? And thank you very much for listening, be it on iTunes, YouTube, or 9yrspodcast.org. Coming to you again this week, the sounds of these fine gentlemen. And if you are on our Twitter page, at 9yrspodcast, why not also give these fine gentlemen a follow at these F gentlemen? You can also do that on Instagram. And with that out of the way, only one thing to say, Stu, is top 7 lists. Have you got one this week?
I have, and of course, keeping it within the festive mood, I've gone for my top 7 Christmas party foods.
Of course it is catering related. Of course it is.
Of course it is, and if you go into any shop at the moment, all you see at the front of the stores is as well lots of these foods, actually. So I thought, well, why not? Let you know what my favourite ones are. You
often do see foods in a supermarket.
Yes, but not all I can't really give it away because I'll give you my top 7 list away. But
let's get it out now.
But when I see these types of foods before the salad, which is the salad area, which you normally see at most supermarkets, then it just becomes a bit like, yeah, okay, it's Christmas.
2 minutes into the show, can I say this has officially been the worst intro to the show we've ever done?
Yeah, it's not good, is it?
It's not. So let's just get this top 7 list out of the way and we can move on.
Okay, so in no particular order. Cheese balls. The cheese ball puffs, if I had to describe them. Mince pies.
We've peaked already. Go on.
Sausage rolls.
Of course.
Yule log. A quiche.
What type of quiche?
Lorraine quiche.
Of course it has to be. No other options for you.
Leftover meats. And, of course, the best one, trifle.
Brilliant. Do you know I went to the doctor the other day? I said I've got custard in one ear, I've got jelly in the other. Do you know what he said?
I don't know.
He said, pardon? He said, I think you're a trifle deaf. Wow.
Oh, let's move on.
There, we need to move on quickly. I've gone for my top 7 advent calendar pictures for when you open an advent calendar and you get the little picture behind the window. Not the little chocolate, because I don't believe in those. I'm diabetic for a start. But also, I like the traditional advent calendar with no chocolate.
I'm nodding my head and thinking, I can't remember the last time I saw one that didn't have chocolates in.
Well, I get one of these every single year. And do you want my favourite pictures behind the flaps?
I'm most interested.
Okay. My top 7 pictures behind the advent calendar winners are crackers, a stocking, bauble, robin, wreath, star, and reindeer. Although on this current advent calendar that I have this year, which I got from W.H. Smith, I quite like the present as well because it's yellow and blue wrapping, but I wouldn't normally go for that one, so it can't get in the much vaunted top 7 list.
A very impressive list it is.
That is 4 minutes of your life, listeners, that you're never getting back, so it's time for us to move on.
John Green here, thanks for listening to today's show, and don't forget to be awesome.
As always, there is lots to talk about this week. It is our Christmas show, so there is a Christmas theme throughout this week's edition of the podcast. Stu and I have got our thinking caps on for a change. Can be dangerous. And we've come up with some Christmas gift ideas for members of our squad. We'll be unveiling those later. We'll also be looking ahead to our Boxing Day game at Southend and talking about all the other things going on at the club, including maybe a certain... What was that word, Stu, we had? Ballot? Yes, I think we need to discuss this.
That's a good word, that is. A very topical word this week among the fans.
We'll be mentioning that one. We'll have Poleon Go with a Christmas twist as well. We might squeeze in a 2-word tango. We see how we go. But first of all, we're going to start with the 4-0 hammering of Port Vale on Saturday just gone. Before we begin, it's been a little while since I've had a chance to do this, but do you remember a couple of months ago, Stu, I started my Nick Draper list of change kit shame?
Yes, I remember that.
Clubs that needlessly change colours when I'm in attendance at the fixture. Well, guess what? Port Vale...
You just made the list!
Because there was no need for them to change out their traditional white and black into some form of Burnley-esque turf mill style kit.
Yeah, it was rubbish, wasn't it? Thing is, Port Vale, they have a very traditional white and black shorts, don't they? Just don't understand. And also, they could have worn that on Saturday because they didn't make one tackle, so they've all turned with a nice prestige white top on the way back into the change room at the end of the game. So,
well, I was going to make that point as well. They had no game in the week prior or the week following, so there was no need to have another kit that they needed to have ready very, very quickly. And as you say, the white. Well, maybe it was a good thing they didn't wear the white because, as you say, it would have shown up how little effort they made. Because when a white shirt comes off the field, pristine, clean, with no mud in it, you've got a problem.
Yeah, and also the white top matched the flag. The flag they were waving because they were surrendering, weren't they? They were shocking.
They were shockingly poor, and without focusing too much on Port Vale, because at the end of the day we did win 4-0, but it was a very poor performance. And my key memory, really, of the Port Vale game will be the fact that we stayed at the end of the game, obviously, to applaud our players off, but we kept an eye on the movements of the Port Vale squad. And their goalkeeper, I think, was the one member of playing staff that got within 30 yards of the opposition fans. The others either didn't clap and just headed straight for the tunnel, or stayed a very safe distance away, around about inside the centre circle.
Yeah, you made a good point. You're the one that said, because we were in the John Green stand, weren't we? So we were closer to the away fans than we normally are. And you made a point of it. Let's have a look. And the thing was, though, Nick, I didn't find that the Port Vale fans were in any way threatening. So
no, not at all.
They weren't as, we've seen some fans that would be trying to get on the pitch and get at them after that sort of performance. But the Port Vale fans just looked demoralised in all seriousness.
Yeah,
but
like
they
life had been sucked from them.
Yeah. They weren't threatening, were they? They weren't threatening in any way. So why they stay so far away? But I would have been disgusted if my Wimbledon had put a performance in like that and hadn't had the decency to at least applaud the fans that have probably done a good 300-400 mile round journey for next to nothing.
Yeah, the club, in fairness to them, have come out, haven't they, and offered a refund or some form of ticket offer for those that did travel in recompense for that shocking display. But you're right. If that had been us, I would have been fuming. I think heavy away defeats that we've had a few, well, we certainly had a few when we first got back into the Football League, didn't we? We had the famous week of the Burton and the Bradford game. We also had a terrible defeat at Torquay United midweek, if you remember.
Yes.
I don't remember our players shying away from us, though, in any of those situations.
No, I don't. They're not allowed to. The manager leads by example. So under them days, it was Terry Brown towards the end of his spell with us. But the manager, Neil Hardy won't allow that. We with the fans, we always, I suppose, we're different to Port Vale. We all have different values. But one thing that we know, if we lose a game with this current squad, we know they would have worked their proverbials off, and it wouldn't be for lack of effort. It'd be more of a lack of a bit of luck or ability against the team. But Port Vale didn't try. You can dress up as much as you like. We beat a team that was there for the taking, and I would just been, as I said, I'd have been disgusted with that attitude. And you have to think that, especially their form guy at the moment in the last 10 games is shocking for Port Vale. They are going to get themselves caught up in a relegation battle because they're one of the worst teams I've seen down at our place.
What did we do well, though? What about it, or what about our performance was good? What was the positive? What's the highlight of it? How did we... Because as much as Port Vale didn't turn up, we obviously have to put in a shift in as well.
Yeah.
So what were the key points of our game, or the way we attacked the game?
Yeah, you still got to beat what's in front of you. So I thought we played, obviously, starting with the three that I would rather start with now, with obviously Tom Elliott and then Taylor and Dominic Poleon. They're the three that you want to play. So we basically hit the ball every time to Tom Elliott. He dominated the centre halves, and we got the scraps. We played very close to each other. So Lyle got a lot of the flick-ons. We got a lot of overlaps. The amount of times that Barry Fuller got outside of George Franco a lot of times in the early starts of the game, but he overlapped continuously. And in the end, we just put loads of balls into the box. We put balls into the areas where we knew it would, eventually we would get a ball into the right area, or we'd get a deflection or something. But we just kept putting the ball into their box and just asking them questions that they couldn't really answer. The only person who answered questions was their goalkeeper, who was outstanding in the first half.
Yeah, he made a number of good saves. It could have been 4-0 in the first half, in all fairness. We had enough chances. He made enough good saves. Who was key for us, though? Which player do you think was pulling the strings for us?
In terms of the first half, I felt everything went through Tom Elliott. I felt the midfield was where, especially when, and I think for one, we're very complimentary of George Frankham. I know we are, sometimes we do want to try and see the best in George Frankham, and there is a lot of good in him. But I would say that the change, unfortunately, when he got a bit of a hip injury and Dean Parrott come on, that did sort of change the game in a little bit of us. We were attacking in numbers, but with Dean Parrott, he can run with the ball with menace and he can really open up opportunities. So I felt him and Jake Reeves were the ones that were really just picking up the second balls. And when we pick up second balls and we count ourselves in halves, in their half, then we are dangerous. So I felt the midfield pairing at that point were the key. Also
key, though, you mentioned how good the Port Vale goalkeeper was. Very, very important save at 2-0 that might have changed the game.
Yeah, he was asked. The saves, he made one down low at his feet when we crossed it into the 6-yard area. He made a tip over the bar, didn't he? I just always felt he wasn't protected well. I made a comment to you. Obviously, we were like 4 rows from the goal, so we had a really good view of, especially set pieces in the first half, where there was a situation. I'm just trying to remember the player's name now because it really made me chuckle. Yeah, it was De Freitas, who he basically was marking a zonal area and he got asked to move by another centre half. And in the end, De Freitas didn't know where to go. I found it unbelievable that you would change. It looked like they were doing a lot of zonal marking, but in the end, he literally went nowhere. And I looked at it and thought, I said to you at the time, set pieces, they're shocking on. And the goals, if you look at the goals in the second half, a lot of it was zonal marking where they just didn't attack the ball. We attacked the ball, we scored, but they're picking up players. They looked like they were 11 individuals who had not spoken to each other before the game.
It's interesting that my father was sat next to a scout from another Football League club who was attending the game on Saturday, and he was talking about the goalkeeper for Port Vale and said that he's a great shot stopper, but not so great with crosses. Was that maybe reflected in what you say there? A little bit of uncertainty on set pieces. Yeah,
not just him, but if you look at Tom Elliott when he scores his goal, he's literally on the 6-yard area, isn't he? And I would have been disappointed if that had been against us. I would have been disappointed that James Shea is not coming out. I don't know whether he's got blocked off. There's a lot of bodies in the area. But when Tom has that ball, he's no more than 5-6 yards out. Dean Parrott does put a great ball in, and he put 2 great balls in, didn't he? Especially the fourth goal where Robertson's got a flick and scored it. But the marking is just it's for me it's zonal marking with runners. If you get runners against zonal marking, you're always going to when you're doing a standing jump, you're always going to get beaten on a run. Someone gets a run, you always get beaten. And I just didn't really. I was really amazed how poor they were at them areas.
And just to go back there, as I mentioned, James Shea, then his save at 2-0.
Outstanding, wasn't it? It's probably one of the best saves I've seen for a long while live. It was one of those saves that you just took your breath away because it looked like it was past him. He got a fingertip at most, hit the crossbar, and then he deserved all the luck in the world after that. You could say he was lucky. I think he deserved your luck when you get a great touch like that. He's done his job and it sort of, he recovers, hits his shoulders and he holds on to it. And you always go by the reaction of players around them because in training, you expect goalkeepers to make saves. But when you've got people like Paul Robinson and Barry Fuller literally couldn't wait to give him a hug or a high five, it was an outstanding save.
And a few players wanted to give hugs and high fives to Tyrone Barnett, who I think scored his first goal at Kingsmeadow and took it very, very well as well.
Yeah, Neil Ardley's hinted, isn't he, in the Don's player interview after the game, he hinted that he'd had some words. I had a discussion with Barnett, and I think those words would have been shape up and working hard. He has to work hard. He can look a little sluggish sometimes, Tyrone, especially when you compare him against Dom and Lyle and Tom Elliott. They all work, in my opinion, harder than him, or look to work harder. And Tyrone's got to look like he's working harder. And again, Wimbledon fans will be behind him all the way. And his goal was probably the pick of the goals, wasn't it? It's a third goal, but Lyle makes the goal running down wide right, crosses it early, and he uses his weight to shrug off the defender, which was a bit of a weak challenge, but then knocks it into the top corner. But you can't argue at the moment. Tyrone's had some good cameo performances. Curzon, definitely against Port Vale, and we need 4 strikers. We need someone just to keep Dom and Tom on their toes, and hopefully Tyrone is starting to produce the stuff that we know he's capable of.
You say we need 4 strikers. 2 of our strikers appeared in our Man of the Match poll on Twitter for Saturday. Our 4 options were Tom Elliott and Lyle Taylor, alongside Dean Parrott and James Shea. 102 votes, so thank you very much for all of you who voted, following us on Twitter at 9YRS Podcast. If you don't follow us on Twitter, or what I should say is, if you are on Twitter and don't follow us, then please make sure you follow us. If you don't have a Twitter account, you can still vote in our Man of the Match polls, I believe. I think you can still get access to Twitter if you link it through various guest books and Facebook and things like that. But anyway, point aside, Lyle Taylor won the vote for Port Vale, 43%. Tom Elliott was on 37%, Dean Parrott 11%, James Shea was the other candidate, 9%. Lyle Taylor he has looked like he's been really on it the last month or so. He never stops, does he?
No, and we always have a joke sometimes where Lyle goes down with cramp, normally around about 85th minute, and sometimes you're not too sure whether it's just a bit of kidology or it's just running the clock down, but he does put so much effort in. And it's why the fans love him, because, yes, he scores goals. Of course, if he wasn't scoring goals, fans would be like, you can work as hard as you want, but you've got to start putting the ball in the net eventually. But fans love him because he puts effort in. He works from the first minute to the minute he's, to the 9th minute or when he's sub. He works hard every game, and by all accounts, we were down at John Green's end for Saturday, but by all accounts, he was playing with a smile on his face for the last 10 minutes, laughing and smiling as when he was playing football. And Lyle's just magical to watch when he does that, and he has a real connection with the fans at the moment, which is really nice to see.
Absolutely. Also nice to see was the amount of, see how I do these wonderful segues, or the amount of Don's 3-word reports we received on the weekend. So thank you very much to all of you that took part in them. Obviously, I think quite a few varied efforts coming in this week. Going to pick 3 of the best for you. Going to start with this one because I liked it because it was a little bit different, a little bit unusual. Marky Womble at Marky Womble, which is Mark E.Y. Womble, all one word. He went for Vale Divas Stumble, which he then went on to explain was a play on words for Gale Divas falling over at the 92 Olympics. I just thought it was a little bit outside of the box, to use a business term that I hate saying, but I can't think of any other way to phrase it at the current time. A little bit different. I liked it. Different from the usual. Breaking the mould. So thank you very much, Marky. We also had... We had so many. Which one did I like? I liked Di Lewis at OXOSP, OXOSP. He went for both goalkeepers incredible. I think it was a fair reflection on... Is it Ben Alnwick?
Yes, it is.
It was, because there's 2, isn't there? There's another one, but they're not related. Or
no, I don't believe, but I don't know. We'll have to find out.
We'll have to find out. But yes, he had a fantastic game, especially in the first half, but then James Shea, who mentioned that fantastic save. And... Well, we had John Martin at JM Thought who went for Sunk Port Starbound. I was trying myself to think of a port starboard type reference, but I think that was as good as we got, so thank you very much, John. We'll have to mention my brother here because he pounded us. Well, that sounds wrong, doesn't it?
Yeah, you better rephrase that. He
hammered our Twitter account with 3-word reports. I can only assume he was bored at work or stuck on a Southern train going nowhere, more than likely. He had loads. Let's go for Bravo 40. Rich,
not bad.
Yeah, not bad. Yeah, it's all right.
It's your brother's own it, so don't encourage him.
It's as good as it's going to get, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
What did you make of life in the John Green stand? I have a complaint to make to the club, if the club is listening.
Yeah, I like the John Green stand. We had a good view, didn't we? We were 4 rows. I think if you sit anything more than maybe, I would say anything 6 rows back would probably be my preference. But as we're upgrading to seats at the moment, we can't. But beggars can't be choosers. But
beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah, it was a good view. There's loads of room, isn't there? There's loads of leg room, which I can't moan at at all.
That's because the person next to me didn't turn up.
No, I mean in front of you.
I see.
You and I are quite tall, so we end up sometimes trying to make sure our feet, our knees don't touch the people that's in front. But no, it was good. It was good, decent atmosphere. I thought it always helps. The thing with John Greenstand is that when the sun's out, that's a mare because that's going to go straight. It's literally going straight to your eyes. So
I'm not sitting in that stand in the summer. No chance.
No, so it'll be probably one of the stands that I would probably want to sit in. Probably from November through to late January, early February. Apart from that, I probably wouldn't want to sit in it because the sun would be a nightmare.
It would be a nightmare. Not as much of a nightmare as the public address system.
Yes.
Oh, wow. I couldn't hear it for a day afterwards. So loud. I know I'm getting old. You know what? It wasn't the fact it was so loud. It was also the quality of them is not very good, is it? The music.
No.
The music. When it came to the music coming through, it didn't work and it just became horrendous. I don't know how you put up with it. Regulars in the John Greenstand.
Yeah, it's because the sound system, isn't it? It's got no bass coming out of it, so it's like an old tannoy system, isn't it? So the more sound you try and turn it up, it doesn't make the sound quality any better. You need a bit of bass or better speakers. But I have to say, I couldn't stop chuckling to myself when I realised that the Living Years and the choir, who it's a great song. But I couldn't stop laughing to myself, realising when they were using the remote microphone, which we all know don't work properly, and it was more like a comedy act where it kept cutting in and cutting out. And they didn't deserve that because they were there for a good cause. But why? And the club might be able to answer this, or some might be able to answer this, but I can't understand why we haven't been able to. In this day and age of technology, I don't know why we haven't been able to get a microphone that works on a wireless frequency. I just don't understand that.
No, and I can't answer that one for you either, Stu, I'm afraid. But yes, it became quite irritating. Certainly prior to the game, it sort of killed the art of conversation because it was so loud I couldn't really even speak properly. Maybe if you're there every week, you just get used to it. I don't know. And
use sign language, maybe.
Possibly, although that conversation between you and I would be quite short before it devolved into something inappropriate.
Of course.
Do you want to explain your very briefly experiences of Corinthian Casuals? The main reason I want to talk about the Corinthian Casuals game is because it saw the return of Darius Charles, which brings us on to a question which links into the Port Vale game as well, and an impressive string of performances from Chris Robertson since he's joined. Does Darius Charles go straight back into the team?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting discussion. I had that discussion on Tuesday with a few of my mates that are at the game. I don't think he does. I don't think he deserves to. Don't think he needs to either. But I would say a player of Darius's quality will find his way back into the first 11. And he has many qualities that are what we need. He has that leadership ability. He's a very good defender. But you need to remember Darius, brave as a lion, a senior pro. He very good verbally. I understand from what I know, very good in the dressing room and leader of men. And I think there's the other qualities away from the technical side that will mean that he will work his way back into the starting lineup in no time at all, I believe. It was interesting at Corinthian Casuals on Tuesday night because it's a non-league ground, so you can hear what they're saying. It was interesting how Darius was basically talking the way we had a loanee right back, we had Seth Owens playing left back, and we had Paul Canambaye playing centre half. And Darius talked the whole way through the game, in terms of leading the line, pushing up, dropping off, headers. And I just was so impressed of how clear and the instructions were so good. That you can see he must be a delight to be training with. Paul Canambaye will learn so much just by playing alongside players like Darius.
Who else impressed you from... We should say it was a 2-1 win, wasn't it, in the London Senior Cup?
Yeah, and Corinthian Casuals doing well in the Ryman League. Ryman Lawrence South, I believe they're in, aren't they?
Yeah, they've got quite a large contingent of ex-Sutton players, haven't they? And they are tipped to do well this season.
Yeah, I believe I think a Sutton reserve manager left there to go to Corinthian in the summer, I believe. I've got, you've got someone I've got someone I know who's playing it for the moment. Who impressed me... Andy Bartram, definitely. he was a big loss to us last season when he got injured, and I never felt when he come back he hit a form that he was before he got injured. But thankfully, this injury's been a bit shorter, and Andy Bartram is just a totally different player. Me talking about the 4 forwards that we have, let's not forget Andy Bartram can be a fifth because in that 4-3-3 system he plays the wide left of the three, and is a nightmare. He's not your typical hugging the touchline winger. He can go inside and stuff like that. He was outstanding. Alfie Egan looks like he's growing all the time in stature and belief. One thing I was interested in what I wanted to see, and some stuff that I've done on loan watch here, was Chelsea went out on loan to Kingstonians, and from what I sensed, he didn't go playing Salem because I just didn't play him. He looked like he was very desperately trying to find his way into the formation that we were playing. He was playing a 4-3-3. He found himself out wide sometimes, and he just didn't look as dynamic, and he looked a bit lost in what runs to make, where to be. I think there's a lot of work to do with TOC, but I'm sure Alan Reeves will get that right, because he's one of the players I really think he's got so much raw talent that we need to really try and get the best out of him.
Now, unfortunately, due to work reasons, I could not attend the game at the last minute. I had to pull out from attending, but it might have saved us, because otherwise I think we might have had to have gone on my list of change kit shame.
Yeah, we played in green, didn't we? Yeah, I can understand that. But I'm not a lover of the green kit, even though it's probably one of the most successful kits in terms of us winning, playing with it, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
In terms of away strip, it's one of the most successful in terms of successful wins. That's probably got nothing to do with the kit, it's just circumstance. But yeah, I didn't know why we changed it. And it was a horrible, nothing disrespectful about Connecticut Casuals. We were a non-league club once, but the floodlights weren't great. Didn't really, the green made it a little bit mucky. Probably played better with the yellow or something like that.
I'm going to scratch third kit off your Christmas list. I won't be buying that for you this year. However, we have been looking at potential Christmas presents we might buy players of our squad.
We have.
As this is the Christmas edition of the 9 Years podcast. So I think we've chosen 3 players each.
We have.
And gifts that we would like to give them.
Yes.
So do you want to start with your first player and what gift you have identified to hand to them?
Yeah, so my first player is Jonathan Meats.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to buy him a protective bubble suit.
Interesting.
Just to stop him getting injured and looking after himself.
That's very nice. I had a similar idea about that, actually. And on that same note, I have, for Will Nightingale, I'm going to buy him industrial quantities of bubble wrap. Just to wrap him up as well, because he gets injured far too often. I'm a little bit worried about his progress because of it.
We can get a bulk deal then, couldn't we? Maybe get a discount on that product.
We could do. We need to go to Bubble Wrap R Us. Where would you buy bubble wrap from? Is it something you buy from like?
It's a stationers. It's a stationers, is that? Sorry.
Not industrial quantities though.
Oh, not industrial quantities. Well, what would the industrial quantities be? Like proper, like 4 foot by 4 foot or something. I don't know.
like a 6 foot by 2 foot roll that would you'd stick.
But would he be able to breathe?
Well, you wouldn't wrap in all of it, obviously, but you need quite a lot of it. You need to replace it after a while because he'd just pop all the bubbles, wouldn't he? Yeah,
I'd love to see. When I was a kid, I couldn't stop playing them games. You didn't need to buy me a computer game or thing. Just buy me some bubbles or what they're called, the
bubble wrap. Yeah,
bubble wrap, and I'll just play for hours. Easily pleased.
Easily pleased. Yes, but that is all kids. I think. Imagine all the things. It's like when you get a new piece of furniture or a new utility in the house or something, or new bike, whatever it might be. You end up playing with the box.
Yes.
When you're a kid. And when you get older, you still like to
play
with the box. Yes.
Anyway,
moving on. Your second player?
Yeah, so my second player is Jake Reeves.
Okay.
And this is a bit of a weird one, but basically I would buy him a karaoke set.
Right. Okay.
Because as it looks like the Women of Fans are not going to create a song for him, maybe he can sing his own song and pen his own song because he's so deserving of a song for us to sing.
Did you not hear the song that was made up for him on Saturday?
I did. I did. I loved it. It didn't really take off too much, and I believe it was from some of the people we know, wasn't it? John and people like that who stand up. Well, sorry, no, I'm right. They do stand up. They don't sit down. To John Green. But it was
for legal reasons. They do, of course, always sit down and take their seats as per ground regulations.
Of course, once every 45 minutes they do.
Maybe.
But yeah, there was a good song coming. It'd be great if that could break its way through to the terraces. But I just think Jay Reeves is such a good player. How we haven't got a song for him yet, I don't know really. But yes, that's what I would do. If we're not going to sing one for him, let's get him a karaoke set and get him to start singing one for himself.
That'd be a new thing in football, wouldn't it? For players to have karaoke machines on the side of the pitch. When they score, they can start singing their own song.
Hey,
We joke Sky or BT will do this. 10 years maximum, I reckon.
Yeah.
My next player is Danny Ballman. This is quite a boring one, I think, but I'm just going to get him some anti-aging potion because he can't continue to be getting older because we can't do without him.
Yeah.
We need to make sure he doesn't go the wrong side of 40. Like, he's what, 37 now?
So maybe what we could do is buy him a forged passport.
Okay.
That'll solve it.
Will it help him?
It would show that he's younger. It won't make
Won't
any
make him
difference to
younger,
his...
that's the problem.
No. But then, Danny Ballman, he's just a freak of nature, isn't he? But see, when you said that, I thought you were going to say you're going to buy him another hairband because that's what he does most of the time, isn't it?
That's what... Sorry, what?
He just wears hairband.
No. Let's revisit that sentence. Buy him a hairband because that's what he does most of the time.
Well, I mean, most of the time he just puts it on because he's got too much hair, hasn't he?
Right, okay. So he wears a hairband regularly, is what you're trying to say.
I would think, well, when he's playing football, I would imagine, when he's training.
Yes, okay. So maybe just industrial quantities of hairbands.
And maybe
Where do you buy industrial quantities of hairbands? I don't know.
But maybe there's a sponsorship opportunity. Maybe there's a sponsorship opportunity there. You know, we've got sponsorship all over our shorts and everything like that. Maybe a sponsored hairband.
We have got sponsorships all over our shorts. So let's have a look in. Should we look into this one as well?
I think we should.
Do you want to buy some Danny Ballman sponsored hairbands?
Well, you could have yellow and blue ones, could he? There's the end. I don't know about the green striped ones. That's probably a bit nah.
No, let's shy away from those.
Yeah,
Yellow and blue would work.
There must be a market there, surely.
I'm sure there are people out there that would like AFC Wimbledon hairbands. Anyway, third player?
Third player for me, Tom Elliott. Mine would be quite simple, a new pen. And that would be so you can sign a new extended contract.
Oh, very Gulliver. There we go.
Like it?
Is his contract expiring at the end of the season then?
No, but I just think at the moment I'm really worried that the scouts and that are hovering around him, and I would just like us to, it looks like he's loving life at Wimbledon. Get him on you can always extend a contract whenever you want, and I just think he's a player that would just get him on a longer contract because he's pivotal to how we play. He's pivotal to how we play. So a nice new pen so we can sign that contract. Very
nice thinking. Finally, for me then. I'm going to buy a present for George Frankham this Christmas.
Ooh.
I'm going to get George Frankham a pair of earmuffs. This is for two reasons. Two, because it's still fairly chilly into January and February. Keep his ears nice and warm. But also it's to keep him from hearing all the nasty things that are said about him from our supporters every single home game. I don't think he deserves to hear them. I think he needs to block them out.
Yeah, but Joe, what? I'm a similar Joe. I have this ability. Nowadays, surely men have abilities to block out sounds. I do it every day. I block out all the female tones. So maybe he has that ability anyway. Doesn't need earmuffs.
Sorry, what was that? What did you say?
There's always ways. We can just block out the sounds we don't want to hear.
Yes, but I think it would be helpful for his confidence and self-esteem to perhaps not hear the shouts coming from certain members of our support. Pretty much every time he touches the ball, whether he scores a 30-yarder into the top corner or whether he passes it to nobody and it goes out of play, he seems to get the same reaction from some of our fans, I should say.
It does feel that he's got to do that bit extra special or work that a little bit extra hard than everyone else, doesn't he, to get a bit of a praise. And I think some people struggle. We said maybe time before, haven't we, when I think you scored a goal and someone behind me just didn't know what to do. They didn't want to celebrate because it was George Frankham. We can't celebrate. Well, give him a break.
Give him a break. Maybe I should have got him a Kit Kat.
Hey.
There we go. I have a present for you, though, Stu, as well. To remember this little feature. It is very little, actually. Breeze to this one. Yes, I thought as a Christmas I would get you a gift.
Okay.
So I have It is all wrapped and ready to go. So, do you want to open your present?
Okay, I can't wait. Let's have a look. What have you got me? Aha! How kind.
I know I'm good like that, aren't I?
Yes, that's Football Grounds Guidebook. Yeah, I do need that, to be honest with you. So
it might help you out to learn some of these stadiums.
I know most of them. I've visited most of them.
You wouldn't know that if you listen to this podcast.
No, I think because most of the time I'm asleep when I travel towards them and wake up at the ground and go, oh, hello, and I have no idea what train station's near it or...
You're just happy you've got that. You've just gone, oh, where am I? Turf Mill. Brilliant. Yeah.
I had so many people come up to me and laugh their heads off towards me, laughing at me on Saturday. And I'm trying to keep telling them that it was a deliberate mistake. I knew what I was saying, and I was just doing it for their entertainment, but they wouldn't have it.
Did you get a present from me or not?
I did. So here is my present for you. Not as all packaged as well as your one was for me, but doesn't really need much packaging, really, but you desperately do need it.
I think that's harsh. My hairdresser, by the way, Stu's bought me a nice pair of scissors and a nice comb. I think that's harsh. My hairdresser said I look like Neil Ardley. You wouldn't say that he needs any of these male grooming or the scissors will.
See, I just think when I was young, we had to do a proper style, think about a style. But I think kids nowadays, and you're still young in that sense.
I am 24.
I think, of course, you just wake up in the morning and muck your hair up a bit and go, that's the new style today. That would do me.
I'm not going to lie, Stu. During the working week, when my alarm goes at sometimes 4:45 in the morning, I do sit in bed and think, I'm not going to do my hair today. I haven't got the time. I'm going to spend... Because it takes me a little bit while to style my hair, as you know. I take great pride in it.
Yes.
So I think I'm going to spend an extra 5 minutes in bed instead. So I do probably often walk around with terrible hair. I do make the effort for football, though, so I think it's a bit harsh.
I just think, every day I make an effort with my hair, and I just feel like sometimes people just don't take it seriously.
No, how dare they? How could they?
Exactly.
They're not very nice people, are they?
No.
Well, thank you very much for that present, Stu. I hope you enjoy mine.
I'm going to use it probably later on in the show.
Oh, do you want to use it right now for a bit of Poleon Go? Poleon Go is a little bit different this week. We have to start. I have to ask you a question before we begin. Before we start Poleon Go, I need to know, Stu, what is your favourite Christmas song of all time?
It is the Fairy Tale in New York by the Pogues. Okay,
what's your second favourite then? Because we can't really broadcast that one, I'm afraid.
Driving Home for Christmas.
Is that Chris Ray?
Chris Ray? Chris Ray? I don't know what his name is.
Chris Rea.
Chris Rea.
There we go.
It sounds like Raya. Raya.
Wait, that's Ray. Never mind. Right.
By Chris, I know by his first name anyway.
Anyway, okay. Well, this week then, to the tune of Driving Home for Christmas by Chris Rea, that song lasts for about 4 minutes, okay?
Okay.
So I have got 10 football stadiums here. I've got a list of 10 football stadiums. I'm going to see how many you can identify, or you're going to say which club plays at that stadium. Okay. Difference being is that I have Christmased the stadium names up and given them a Christmas ring. So, for instance, if I was to give you Three Kings Meadow, you would tell me that it's AFC Wimbledon.
Cool, that's one then.
Well, no, because we haven't started yet. I've got to start.
Got to give you a bonus one.
Well, that was your example. Like on the exam papers, you get a test question to help you out, know what you're doing. So,
okay,
I've got 10 in total. I reckon you can probably get all 10. 4 minutes, just loads of time.
Yes.
So by the time, when the music stops, that's when we'll stop the game. Unless you get all 10 correct before then.
Then it stops itself.
I'll
do it play the whole way through. So it's a good tune.
Cool. Well, let's go. Just listen to the lovely intro first.
You're wasting time.
No, I'm not wasting time. You've got plenty of time. It's too nice to speak over.
Of course.
Okay. Well, he's about to start speaking, so I suppose we start with... Let's start with a nice easy one, Stu. Who plays at Goody Son of God Park?
That'd be Everton.
Very good. Number 1. How about Gold Trafford?
That'd be Manchester United.
You're quite liking this game, aren't you? It's quite easy this week for you.
I better slow down, otherwise we won't hear the end of the song.
How about the Etihad Stadium?
That'd be Manchester City.
See? The Reef Co Arena?
That'd be Coventry City.
The Stadium of Silent Night.
That would be Sunderland.
We're doing very, very well, Stu. I think it's time to ramp it up a little bit.
Yes.
How about Carroll Road?
That'd be Norwich City.
You're very good at this. Wow. We've only about a minute in.
I know, I'll slow down now.
What about Molineux?
That'd be Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Very good. Broadhall Sleigh.
That'd be Stevenage.
I thought that might catch you out. Very good. What about the Sheepmoat Stadium?
That'd be Doncaster.
This is the last one, Stu. We've raced through these. I'm impressed. Okay, final one then. Get ready for this.
Yeah.
Turf Moor.
That'd be Burnley.
Wow. We only got to hear about 1 minute 40 seconds of Chris Graham.
I do apologise, Chris.
We're just going to play and keep him playing in the background. That was really quick.
Yeah, well, I'm good with league ground. I know what the grounds are when I get there. It's just when Poleon travels, I don't know. God knows where we're going after.
God knows where your brain goes after that. Well, well done.
Thank you very much.
Very well done. Happy days.
You sound more surprised than I am.
I am very, very surprised. In fact, I think the only thing that would surprise me more right now is if I was to check my email and see that I have been allocated a ticket to Sutton United. Can I just say, boom, that was the best segue I've ever done. But anyway...
I'm loving that.
Yeah. How or what are our thoughts on the ballot? As it stands, when you are listening, or as you are listening to the podcast, you're going to fall probably into one of three camps. You might be in the camp, such as me, right at this very moment in time, which is I've applied for a ticket and I've yet to have an email either way telling me yes or no. You might be in the camp that has received an email that tells you you've got a Southend ticket. If that is you, congratulations, well done. Very, very happy for you. Or you might be in the camp that didn't even apply because you can't be bothered to go to the Sutton game, which is, there might be a couple of you out there. Also, this all depends on when you are listening to the show. A number of you will be listening to this on Thursday morning. We are recording, of course, on Wednesday evening, so in my own situation may have changed by the time you're listening to this. Who knows? But we are, as it stands, on Wednesday afternoon. Ballot closed on Sunday evening. There's a little bit of confusion, it must be said. Now, it's the first time we've ever had to do something like this. And of course, the first time you ever do anything, it's very, very difficult. We understand that. It's not an easy situation. Don't envy anyone involved at the club. But a few communication things that have caused a few concerns, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, and we said that last week, didn't we? There's no easy way of doing this, and a ballot probably was his way. I think the thing, it's like also I said last week. The ballot's a great idea. Well, it started the idea is a great idea until you're not successful, and then it's a rubbish idea. That's the nature of the beast. But at the moment, it does seem to be, especially from our time of recording, is that we just don't have that clear communication of knowing if you don't receive an email from, say, by the time this podcast comes out on Thursday morning, if you haven't received an email by then, does that mean you're not being successful? Or have they had to do the email? So I can't believe they've done what we're looking at, close to what, 1,200 emails? Yeah,
we reckon about 1,200, don't we?
Yeah, would they be able to do that in one go? It's difficult. Are we assuming they have, or are we going actually throughout Thursday? They'll be sending more batches of emails, so we could be, because at the moment people are a little bit like, well, some of their friends have got tickets. We're happy for them in a way, but also we're like, well, we're checking our emails, and it's just that uncertainty. I think people would just rather know if they've not been successful. Great, we'll now start going and try and speak to our Sutton friends and getting their end.
Yeah,
Joe.
Well, yes. Excuse me, what? How's that good? Oh, a ticket, right, I see. Yeah, it is that not knowing, though, isn't it? It's always the case. It's always the not knowing that causes the stress, doesn't it? You'd rather just know one way or another.
Yeah. And there's still going to be disappointed people. We know that. But it's just a communication side. And that's something that the club can control.
Yes.
And that's one of the things we just wish that they would. We know they're busy, but they could just put as much detail into it. And what I say, I work as a customer service coach, and we always say to people, put a bit of time speak into what you're saying. Tell them what you expect. Just set the expectation. At the moment, there's no expectation. We don't know.
We don't know. Of course, efforts weren't helped by a number of duplicate applications. Now, we must say there might be a case here, because I was tempted to do this and I didn't. But I was tempted to send my email, which I did, and also hand in my voucher, not because I wanted to apply twice, because I wanted to guarantee or ensure that my application had been received, that an email hadn't gone missing in the system, that a voucher hadn't got misplaced, because, you want to give, you know what I mean? You don't want it to miss out on the ballot. So it might have been that a few people did that and that caused a few confusion. But we were told that multiple emails had been sent. And that is purely nothing else than cheating the system or attempting to cheat the system, which is poor form from a number of our fans.
Yeah, do you know what also it's done? It's delayed them even further.
Yeah.
So a process that was going to take them a little while to do because of the numbers they have has just been made deliberately more awkward by fans that are just chancing their arm. And, okay, we know that when there's always people that would try and do that. Hand on heart, I literally applied once, and that was through a voucher at the complimentary window on Saturday.
You literally applied once?
Yeah, literally applied once.
Not metaphorically?
No, I applied in terms of one format of a voucher. My fiancée did the same, and her dad. So I probably will try and. I've got a 1 in 2 chance, or technically 1 in 3, but that goes a little bit more into detail. But I did it out of respect. I did it out of respect to the ballot and respect to the fellow women and fans that I would only apply once. Hey, maybe that's me being foolish, but I did that and hoped that other people would do that. But to send from multiple email addresses just causes the club further time to have to cycle through that. So. When you're moaning, that fan at moaning they haven't found out yet, well, you might be one of the people that have made it more difficult for them.
Indeed. I would just say it would have been nice. I know, again, it's not easy, and I'm not saying this and not being critical. It's the first time we've had to do it, of course. For my own reassurance, it would have been nice to have an email confirmation that my entry had been received.
Yeah, and I know there's a few people, wasn't there, that saying they were going to put a trace on the email and just make sure they had a receipt. Just say it had been received. Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? That's probably one of the reasons why I didn't send the email, because with all best will in the world, we do know that the Wimbledon, let's be honest, our equipment that we have, or the software we use, probably could be better, because it could probably cost more money to get a better system. But I just wasn't confident that it could handle all those emails coming in, so I did the old-fashioned way and handed a voucher in, which of course can be lost. I get that as well, but I trust Claire, who I handed it into, to look after it. But it's a very difficult time, isn't it? Yeah, you've got friends that have got tickets. You and I are both in the same boat at the moment. We don't have a ticket in the Wimbledon end. I do have a ticket in the Sutton end. I've said that. I interestingly said that to Neil Ardley on Tuesday night, and he gave me a look as if you shouldn't do that. It felt like I was being told by a school teacher.
Imagine that, Stu.
Yeah, he did chuckle. We were just in passing. I said, "You got a ticket, Neil?" He laughed and goes, if I had £1 for every time I've been asked that recently, and I said, "That's all right. So I've got a ticket anyway." He just gave me a look as if you should be doing that. But I have. But that's going to be moving. Being so serious, or seriousness on this is that we have to wonder how they're going to police the game at Sutton United, knowing full well that there are going to be, I reckon, in the region of anywhere between 250 to 450 Wimbledon fans potentially in the Sutton United end. How are they going to do that? Is it going to be soft segregation? Is it going to be, me personally, I will try and get in. If I have to get a Sutton ticket, I will get into the ground as soon as I open, and I will head to the closest I can to the Wimbledon fans in that hope that they will have a soft segregation and they would just work out eventually that everyone else is a Wimbledon fan in that sort of area and just move the barrier along. But we just don't know. But it could cause problems. It
could. But we wait and see what happens with tickets and what our own situations are. We should know by this time next week.
We hope.
So for next week's show, which will be the final show of 2016, we hope we will know where we stand with Sutton tickets. And we hope that all of our listeners do as well. We wish you luck if you're looking for a ticket and have yet to hear whether you have one or not. We are touching wood, so to speak, for you. Should we brighten up the mood with a two-word tango?
Yes, definitely. And also I hear there was a little bit of there's a bit of people said that I cheated last week, Nick.
There is no doubt about this, Stu. You cheated. No repetition. Can't say a name more than once. And I think last week, despite the fact I failed to think of any single other player name that would have carried the game on, and do you know how many suddenly popped into my head?
Of course.
Immediately after that.
Yep.
But you'd already repeated. I think Alan Kimball had already been said by me.
But see, that's where the rules I wasn't too clear on, because I thought it was repetition by myself.
I'll give over.
I didn't think it was repeating something you said back to me.
If that was the case, Stu, I could have started off like I did with Warren Cummings, and then you could have gone Warren Cummings.
It'd just be like a parrot.
Or what?
Or an echo.
No, you're not getting me with that one. I got you with that one
Many-
so well many years ago that we've never forgotten it.
All the shot away, I remember it very well because I felt a right donut.
Never going to forget all the shot away when I got you. How many times?
It must have been about 3 times.
Yeah.
I think it was just one of those days, I think, where I just wasn't concentrating, of course.
You have many of those days.
Yeah, always at Aldershot.
Always all the shot. Yeah, this is true. Maybe just stay away from the Hampshire region.
Yeah, not good for me.
No. Right, two-word tango. On the back of last week's flagrant cheating, which means you didn't win last week's two-word tango.
Ooh.
What should we go for this week? Should we go for... We've probably done this before. We've done goalkeepers, haven't we? Or have we?
Yes, we've done goalkeepers. We could do
Left-backs?
Left-backs. Okay, yes.
Yes?
Yes, okay.
Great, I'm definitely going first on this go.
Okay.
All right, let's go.
Gotta listen out for this guy. It's a famous name, but don't fly. Something like Sebastian Coe. Celebrity two-word tango.
Warren Cummings.
Chris Hussey.
Danny Blanchett.
Jonathan Meads.
Alan Kimball.
Andy Bartram.
Well, Peter Hawkins, but no, I'm not having Andy Bartram. Give over.
He has played there. We were down to 10 men once. He had
Yeah.
to drop back into that hole.
Yeah, in 20 years' time, Stu, no one's going to go, who do you reckon was our best left-back? Oh, Andy Bartram, yeah, for that 20 minutes he once filled in.
All of a sudden, how many left backs I couldn't think of.
That's the best sentence anyone's ever said in the history of the English language. It's amazing how many left-backs I couldn't think of.
I couldn't think of any.
Obviously, clearly.
Oh, Ben Thatcher.
Ben Thatcher. How could
The
you forget
favourite-
that was going to be my next one?
Oh, the famous fuck of them all.
And I was probably going to push my luck with Herman Heraudson at some stage. But anyway, that might have been pushing it too far.
Ryderson. He was never a left back.
You know what this great thing about this game is that you're going to have conversations, many people, many years will talk about the greatest left-backs ever to play for AFC Wimbledon or Wimbledon FC. And then we do a game like this, and the likes of Warren Cummings and Peter Hawkins get mentioned, and Ben Thatcher doesn't.
Well, because Warren Cummings is well known as a left back, not because, unfortunately, of how good he was a left back, but how well, to be fair, how well Terry Brown spoke of him before he signed. Oh, does Terry Brown ever regret how much he praised Warren Cummings?
Yes, I think so. I think he tries to block that from his memory, but never mind.
Oh, well, I lost.
Hooray! You've admitted it. Well, you did well on Poleon Go this week for a change, so there you go. Maybe 1 out of 2 ain't bad.
Exactly.
Southend on Boxing Day. We are going, aren't we? We are on the coach because of no trains on Boxing Day.
Can I just say something? Obviously we're recording some Wednesday night, so I can obviously comment about a game that's going on. But apparently, I just want to guess, but someone's just put there watching Newport versus Plymouth off telly, and it starts in the word starts with S. I think by all accounts, I'm reading it's a poor game. Newport versus Plymouth on TV. What were they thinking about?
Isn't that a Checkatrade group stage rematch? Newport versus Plymouth.
Yeah, isn't it? 'Cause it's the FA Cup, isn't it? Now it's
Yes.
Yeah, because you also got Bayern Munich against Leipzig, isn't it? The Red Bull team that's
the
been
franchise thingy.
Yeah, which is interesting in Germany because they're and I know we just digressed very quickly. Sorry about that, but they're threatening to take over and be in the winter champions. They call it, don't they? When they break up for Christmas.
Yes, but I'm not very happy about that because essentially that could have been a certain team in Buckinghamshire.
Yeah, and it's technically the same team in Swindon, which is what Red Bull taking over, isn't it?
Oh, really?
That's who's behind the Tim Sherwood. His Red Bull.
That's who's behind Tim Sherwood and his Red Bull.
His Red Bull gives him wings.
Moving on, Southend, on the coach.
On the coach.
First time I've been on the coach in a little while. What a way to celebrate Boxing Day. On a coach to Southend.
I think it'd be fun.
What are we doing? I'll tell you what, I should get a ticket for Sutton just for that. Come on.
Well, you can't because that wasn't one of the criteria for a ballot.
Well, it should have been.
It should have been for going to Curzon.
It should have been for going to Curzon. But of course I'm going to say these things because as yet I don't have a ticket. But anyway, Southend are on a pretty good run of form. Haven't they gone unbeaten in the last 10 in the league?
Yeah, it's a bit worrying.
They've gone above us in the league, haven't they?
They have, which is really surprising because they were doing poor at the start. But if you break down what their team is, they've got, for all his off-the-field issues, they've got a Nar Ranger, who is a decent striker at this level. There's no getting away from that. And they've also got Anton Ferdinand at the back. So Southend, of course, are spending within their budget as usual. There's always a bit of money shifted down to there, isn't there? But yeah, they're third. If you look at the 10, I've gone for the 10. I always try and go for the 10-game form guide because I think it just gives you a little bit more of an idea. But in their last 10 games, yeah.
Also the 10-game form guide what the BBC use with a very nice, easy, colour-coded system for us to follow.
Yeah, I just think 10 games just gives you a better idea. You know, it's what? Is that a quarter of a season, roughly? Is that right? Yeah, about that. So they're third at the moment. 6 wins, 4 draws. Yeah. Well, of course it goes 4 draws. So that's only 4 draws.
Yeah, there was no defeats to look for anyway.
Of course, because you said they're unbeaten. Yes, exactly. So they're averaging 2.2 points a game, and they've scored 19 goals, conceded 5. So difficult game. It's Christmas, though. It's Christmas. It's time of goodwill. And it's a Boxing Day game. It's a Christmas game. And I think it will be played. I'm hoping it'll be a typical Christmas game where the scores are just a bit random and chucks up a few surprises here and there. And hopefully we will, not that us being Southend is going to be a surprise because we're not a port side ourselves. But yeah, 10 game, on the 10-game form guide, we're 8th. So we're not doing too bad. Picking up 1.6 points a game. That makes sense. We're doing all right. It's a good game. It's a good game. It's something that I would want us to come away with at least a point to go into Bristol Rovers game. And I would say we're facing our former goalkeeper from next year, Nick. But he's not doing very well, is he?
No. Which brings us on to our final point this week. Goalkeepers. There was a rumour about Mr. Roos in the week. Was there not?
Mr. Roos, yeah, by all accounts, he had changed his... and, of course, this means a definite something's happening. Of course it does. Twitter is the world at the moment. He's changed his Twitter picture to back into a Wimbledon kit. What's that all about?
Which kit?
I've not looked. I've only heard. I've not looked what kit is.
Not the green stripes. He wouldn't have played in that, would he?
No, I think he, from memory, he always had the picture in the black.
Yes,
the
I think
black
he
kit,
didn't he? Yeah.
But we were chatting, just taking away the Roos, and I was fully involved. I really wanted to get Kelly Roos back in the summer. I didn't think James Shea would stay with the club. I'm happy to admit that because I'm totally wrong and happy that I'm wrong in a way. But I think it does raise an interesting debate of actually how good is our goalkeeping coach and setup at Wimbledon, because we have taken some goalkeepers, and apart from the one from Cardiff, I don't think we had too much time to work with him because he was always on Twitter. But we've actually, Ashley Bays, I think some credit should go to him. I think he's done some really, really good work, and maybe it's just a case that Roos has not had that same sort of support coaching at Bristol Rovers, because he's a good goalkeeper, but I don't see why. I don't quite understand why his form's been so bad.
We wanted to discuss goalkeepers, obviously, because you said at the start of the season you'd rather keep Roos, and then we had at the start of the season Ryan Clark coming in.
Yeah.
And an interesting theory regarding Kelly Roos and perhaps his poor form in contrast to the poor form of Ryan Clark, in which a number of fingers are pointed at a certain member of first-team staff.
Yeah, and Ryan Clark's disappeared off the radar so far, isn't he, at the moment? He's not playing first-team football for Eastleigh. And I think also he's had some difficulties in his personal life, hasn't he? Which, probably was affecting him possibly when he was with us. But if you looked at the start of the season when we signed Ryan Clark, had James Shea as backup, and Kelly Roos had decided to move to Bristol Rovers. If you look at the picture now and no more than 4 months down the line, who would have, if you told me, don't worry, Stu, we'll have James Shea, confident, probably one of the best goalkeepers we've seen in League One, and Ryan Clark will leave and Roos will probably get chucked out by Rovers, I'd have gone, yeah, okay, what are you smoking?
But there we are. We have been left, as you say, probably coming up smiling.
We are. And I just think, like I say, raise the point of, really, I think Ashley Bays does an outstanding job as a goalkeeping coach. I really do. I think he's someone that we underestimate. He's a joker. Anyone who's seen our video of him that we've had on our Twitter of him dancing on Saturday, that's his persona. But behind that is, in my opinion, a very valuable part of our management team.
Absolutely. Could not agree more. Just to finish up then, we've got a little bit sidetracked there. Southend. Prediction?
I'm going for a draw. I think it's going to be I'm going for a 2-2 Boxing Day draw.
I'll take that. That sounds like a cracker on Boxing Day. Any other games in League One take your fancy on Boxing Day?
At this precise moment,
No.
I don't know because
you've not looked.
I keep doing that, don't I? I don't look. See, the thing is, at the moment, I'm so transfixed on what Wimbledon are doing. I just don't look at anyone else at the moment.
Well, do you want me to tell you that there is probably one standout fixture in the league on Boxing Day, which is Bradford City versus Scunthorpe United?
Yeah, it looks pretty good to me, doesn't it?
I don't know. Does it look good to you?
Yeah, it's the decent ones there, actually, isn't it? I'm just looking. I suppose I should look at it, but I do look at Charlton Athletic and their away game somewhere in Buckinghamshire.
Yes, I know. I noticed that one because of the person in the dugout.
Yeah, because they've played each other a few times, haven't they? And I'm just curious to see whether their win against us was a start of a bit of form. I don't think it is, because we've already gained them 3 points back on them from they lost at Gillingham, didn't they? Yeah, there's not much else around. I'm just looking Port Vale, Walsall, just because they've both been in poor form. Bolton going to Shrewsbury, which is Shrewsbury are not that great, are they? So there's not much really there, is there?
No, I think Bradford Scunthorpe definitely the standout fixture. Very interesting game at the top of the table. But then again, so is our game, because it is a top of the table clash as well. But it'd be interesting to see if Bury can actually not lose a game as they travel to Fleetwood this week.
That's a loss for them, isn't it?
That's a tough ask, isn't it? But Boxing Day, like you say, sometimes throws up some surprise results. So you never know. We wish Bury luck, because they certainly they certainly need it, don't they, after 11 defeats in a row.
I'm just looking at their fixtures. You just said that, right? Bury then go to Bradford City on New Year's Eve.
Nice.
And then home to Sheffield United on the 2nd of January.
So Fleetwood's not looking too bad a shout for the moment.
Oh, no luck needed there, is it? They have got a horrible run of fixtures, they have. Oh, and then the week after
that, yeah.
Week after that, home away to Scunthorpe. Wow. Who put them fixtures together?
I'll tell you what, you're looking at that. Then after that, Peterborough.
Wow.
Wow.
Where'd you...
That's 5 of the top 6, isn't it?
So anyone applying for the Bury job at the moment, don't bother. Wait until end of January when they've got them fixtures out of the way. Yeah, because no one's going to survive that.
Port Vale away, that might be an easier one to take over for. But
wow, that's a tough set of fixtures, isn't it?
Oh well, never mind. As long as we stay away from danger, which it looked like doing, I think my maths is correct. I think we need 6 more wins to get to 50 points this season. So
is that all it is?
Yeah, so I think we're
how refreshing.
How refreshing indeed, Stu. I think that the word? But anyway.
This is.
It is for now. Right, anyway. Let's wrap it up. I think we've talked enough nonsense this week. I think we've got our quota in for our hour, or just over an hour. So thank you very much for joining me, Stu.
Thank you very much for having me.
Updates from Southend, I guess we'll be providing, won't we?
We will, yeah.
On Twitter and Instagram at 9YRS Podcast. And please do follow us on Facebook as well. And do not forget to follow these fine gentlemen as well at These F Gentlemen on Twitter and Instagram as well. All that is left for me to say is thank you very much for listening. We sincerely hope you enjoy your Christmas. As we all know, the meaning of Christmas is the Boxing Day football. So enjoy that as well. And we will see you next week, where we shall be joined by Roger Helmer, Member of the European Parliament. Roger Helmer, Member of the European Parliament. Roger Helmer, Member of the European Parliament. I'm not going to repeat it 21 times, but if you have no idea what I'm on about, have a search on Twitter. And we'll see you next week.